China and the United States are both major trade partners of South America. However, South America has traditionally been within the sphere of influence of the United States, often referred to as America's backyard. With China's economic rise, the Chinese Communist Party is trying to change this dynamic, aiming to turn America's backyard into its own colony. South American countries hold significant voting power in the United Nations and other international organizations. Strategically, China hopes to gain these countries' support by strengthening cooperation, using soft power to compete with the United States for dominance in South America. Recently, the China-Latin America Research Center, part of the Andres Bello Foundation based in Colombia, released a new report. This report examined the investments made by 9 Chinese state-owned enterprises in the Andes region of South America from 2000 to 2023. These countries include Bolivia, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Venezuela. The 61-page report identified 147 projects where Chinese state-owned enterprises invested. Out of these, 14 projects, representing 19% or about $3.05 billion, involved at least one corruption case, including embezzlement, fraud, bribery, and misappropriation of public funds. These cases are currently under investigation or prosecution by relevant authorities. Additionally, 41 projects, representing 28%, or about $7.5 billion, involved unclear accounts and lacked transparency, raising strong suspicions of corruption. Most of these issues occurred in Bolivia, Peru, and Venezuela. In other words, nearly 40% of the investment projects by Chinese state-owned enterprises in these 5 South American countries are tainted with corruption. The Andres Bello Foundation warned that the lack of transparency in investments by Chinese state-owned enterprises in these countries makes government oversight difficult. This lack of transparency and potential corruption severely undermines the credibility of local governments and businesses. The Andres Bello Foundation, headquartered in the United States, is a nonprofit organization dedicated to researching and analyzing global political, economic, and social issues. Its reports and studies are usually of international interest and provide valuable insights in many areas. The report mentioned the involvement of 9 Chinese state-owned enterprises, including China National Petroleum Corporation, China Petrochemical Corporation, China Communications Construction Company, China Railway Construction Corporation, China Railway Group Limited, China National Machinery Industry Corporation, China National Chemical Corporation, China National Offshore Oil Corporation, and Zijin Mining Group. Since Xi Jinping began promoting the Belt and Road Initiative, China has invested heavily in South America, particularly in infrastructure projects like highways, railways, ports, and power plants. Additionally, China is seeking breakthroughs in the mining, energy, and agricultural sectors. Some South American countries face severe corruption and underdeveloped economies, but possess rich mineral resources. They desperately need substantial investments from foreign enterprises, which aligns perfectly with the Chinese Communist Party's interests. As a result, both parties have formed a mutually beneficial relationship. Through trade with South American countries, China exports products like telephones, computers, home appliances, small cars, industrial machinery, and components, in exchange for crude oil, nickel, and other mineral resources. China's active investment in economic projects in these countries not only improves local infrastructure, but also enhances China's economic influence in the region. However, this move has sparked concerns about a potential loss of sovereignty in these nations. Let's take a closer look at each one. Ecuador. China is Ecuador's largest second trading partner. Starting in 2007, with the support of former President Rafael Correa, Ecuador joined China's Belt and Road Initiative in exchange for Chinese loans and construction projects. China quickly became an important economic partner for Ecuador, but Correa, both during and after his presidency, expressed concerns. He criticized China's influence, fearing that Ecuador's massive debt and the operations of Chinese companies could weaken national sovereignty. The documentary, This Stolen Country of Mine, showcases the efforts of Ecuadorian indigenous people fighting against the exploitation and destruction caused by Chinese mining companies. Director Mark Weiss, along with local journalists, uncovered key information about corruption between the Ecuadorian and Chinese governments, turning the promise of shared prosperity under the Belt and Road Initiative into a show of political interests. Weiss pointed out that the unfair treaties signed by Ecuador with resources priced too low to repay debts mean the country may never be able to pay them off. Most of Ecuador's key industries are now controlled by China, effectively turning the country into a colony. The documentary highlights how China uses its economic power to expand under the Belt and Road Initiative, which economists accuse of being a new form of colonialism and economic imperialism through debt traps. According to the New York Times, China spent $2.7 billion on Ecuador's largest infrastructure project, the Coca-Codo-Sinclair hydroelectric dam. However, the dam has thousands of cracks, and the slopes around the Coca River were severely eroded during construction, threatening the dam's stability. Former Ecuadorian Energy Minister and former OPEC General Secretary René Ortiz stated that the dam's problems mainly stem from poor quality equipment and parts provided by China. Despite operational issues and accidents, Ecuador still owes $1.7 billion in loans to the Export-Import Bank of China. Instead of alleviating poverty, the dam has burdened Ecuadorians with more debt. Fabricio Yepes, an engineer with the University of San Francisco in Quito, who has closely monitored the project, expressed concerns, saying, "We could lose everything. We don't know if it will happen tomorrow or in 6 months." Public opinion suggests that China's Belt and Road Initiative has caused a crisis of unfinished projects internationally. Over the past decade, the initiative has spent over $1 trillion, aiming to expand China's influence in Asia, Africa, and Latin America through economic trade development. However, the poor construction quality of some projects not only endangers key infrastructure, but also leaves these countries facing years of repairs, digging deeper financial holes. For example, in 2022, the Pakistani government shut down the Neelam Jhelum hydroelectric plant funded by China due to cracks in a tunnel central for water transportation to power turbines. Uganda's electricity company reported over 500 construction defects in a 183-megawatt hydroelectric plant built by China on the Nile, leading to frequent breakdowns since its operation began in 2019. The project cost $567.7 million, with $480 million provided as a concessional loan by the Export-Import Bank of China. Another 600-megawatt hydroelectric plant on the Nile, also constructed by China, faced a 3-year delay due to construction flaws, including wall cracks. Ugandan officials blamed the delays on poor quality construction, with defective wires, switches, and a fire suppression system needing replacement. Despite the plant's operational issues, Uganda still has to start repaying the $1.44 billion financed by the Import-Export Bank of China. Bolivia. The Andres Bello Foundation's investigation report mentions Bolivia as one of the 5 countries under scrutiny. An inland country in the central western part of South America has long struggled with dictatorship, political instability, and high corruption levels. The lack of access to the sea has also hindered its economic development, making it one of the poorest and most underdeveloped countries in South America. Despite its poverty, Bolivia is rich in natural resources, including oil, natural gas, silver, tungsten, tin, lead, zinc, gold, and lithium. This has earned it the nickname, "a beggar sitting on a golden chair." In addition to its famous mineral deposits, Bolivia also has the second largest natural gas reserves in South America, after Venezuela. Moreover, Bolivia is the world's 3rd largest producer of cocaine, following Colombia and Peru. A significant portion of the world's drugs originates from Bolivia. On June 19, 2018, in the presence of Chinese President Xi Jinping and Bolivian President Evo Morales, China and Bolivia signed a cooperation agreement to jointly build the Belt and Road Initiative. According to Chinese statistics, by the end of 2021, Chinese companies had signed engineering contracts worth $8.61 billion in Bolivia, with a completed revenue of over $5 billion. These projects mainly focus on transportation, power, and urban safety infrastructure. At the same time, the global battery giant CATL started investing $1.4 billion to extract lithium from Bolivia's salt lakes, which is one of China's key interests. Lithium, known as white gold, is a crucial metal for manufacturing electric vehicle batteries. Countries like China and the United States are striving to secure lithium batteries, and more players are entering this rapidly expanding market. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, Bolivia has the world's largest lithium reserves, estimated at 21 million tons, followed by Argentina at 19.3 million tons and Chile at 9.6 million tons. Although the United States is also interested in Bolivia's minerals, China managed to secure its position first. Perhaps due to similarities, political systems, bribery, and corruption are common issues in Chinese investments in South American countries. In September 2022, Vice Chairman of Bolivia's Movement for Socialism Party filed a complaint about a corruption case. He alleged that there were multi-million-dollar bribery activities in the bidding process and described the Bolivian Highway Administration as a corrupt institution led by criminal gangs. As a result, Jing Zhengyuan from the China Harbor Engineering Company and Christian Mendieta, the technical director of the Bolivian Highway Administration, were arrested for corruption. Reports indicate that the two were involved in bribery during the bidding process for the Sucre Highway project, with the amount involved reaching 18 million Bolivianos. Additionally, 7 other officials from the National Highway Administration were also investigated for their involvement in the bribery case. Venezuela, a dictatorship in South America, has a highly centralized political system with democracy severely undermined. The United Nations and Human Rights Watch have repeatedly accused the Venezuelan government of human rights abuses, including arbitrary detention, torture, and extrajudicial killings. Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro is one of the world's most controversial political figures, labeled a dictator by the United States and Western countries. Due to his severe human rights violations, Maduro has faced sanctions from the U.S. and European countries. However, he receives support from Russia, China, Cuba, and other nations. Venezuela's economy has been in continuous crisis due to government corruption and mismanagement. In 2014, the inflation rate exceeded 60%, reached 800% in 2016, and soared to an astonishing 1,000,000% in 2018. In August 2018, Venezuela introduced a new currency with an exchange rate of 1 to 100,000 against the old currency, rendering the old money worthless. The Economist estimated Venezuela's debt at $105 billion, with $50 billion owed to China, making China its largest creditor. Instead of demanding immediate repayment, China has opted to delay debt repayment in exchange for Venezuela's compliance. In September 2018, President Maduro visited China for the third time, warmly welcomed by Xi Jinping. The visit resulted in an extension of the repayment period for Venezuela's existing loans and an additional $5 billion loan. China pushed its Belt and Road Initiative, strengthening the comprehensive strategic partnership between the two countries. In September 2023, President Maduro visited Beijing for the 11th time, expressing deep gratitude to Xi Jinping, whom he called a good brother. During this visit, they signed the Belt and Road Agreement, covering cooperation in trade, education, tourism, technology, health, aerospace, and civil aviation. China is one of the main buyers of Venezuelan oil. Chinese energy companies like China National Petroleum Corporation and Sinopec have multiple joint ventures in Venezuela, including oil extraction and refinery construction. According to news footage broadcast by China's CCTV, Xi Jinping declared, "I'm very pleased to announce that the relationship between China and Venezuela has been elevated to an all-weather strategic partnership level." AFP reported that the all-weather strategic partnership represents the highest level of diplomatic relations in Chinese foreign policy, granted to only a few countries such as Pakistan, Russia, and Belarus. Thus, a minor global rogue has officially submitted to Xi Jinping's influence. China is Peru's largest global trade partner and its primary export market. In April 2013, their bilateral relationship was elevated to a comprehensive strategic partnership. In 2019, ignoring warnings from the United States, Peru signed a memorandum of understanding with China, officially joining the Belt and Road Initiative to seek substantial Chinese investments. The Chancay Port construction project, launched in 2021, is Peru's largest Belt and Road flagship project and a source of pride for President Dina Boluarte. The project, costing $3.5 billion, funded by loans from Chinese banks. The Chinese Communist Party promised Peru a dream that the Chancay port would become another Shanghai once completed. As a result, the Peruvian authorities granted China COSCO Shipping Corporation exclusive operating rights to Chancay port, which soon sparked controversy. In March 2024, The Peruvian Port Authority filed a lawsuit questioning the 2021 decision by its board of directors to grant exclusive port operating rights to China COSCO Shipping Chancay Port Limited. The lawsuit argued that this exclusivity violated principles of free competition and lacked administrative legitimacy, as the port was privately invested and could not receive exclusive operating rights on public land. Upon exposure, Walter Tapia, the chairman of the Peruvian Port Authority's board, described the agreement signed 3 years earlier as a confirmed administrative error and indicated that it was being corrected through judicial nullification procedures. The proposal to revoke China's exclusive operating rights was seen as a significant setback for the Belt and Road Initiative and faced strong opposition from the CCP, which threatened that this would affect Sino-Peruvian relations. On June 25th, Peruvian president visited China and met with Xi Jinping. She also held talks with top officials from COSCO Shipping Group in Shanghai. According to Reuters, a source close to the National Port Authority revealed that a Peruvian Transport Ministry prosecutor had formally requested the withdrawal of the original lawsuit before the president's visit to ease tensions. The Chancay Port project is viewed as a symbol of the trade rivalry between China and the United States in Latin America. Once completed, the port will not only serve as a hub for Peru-China trade, but will also provide services to neighboring Ecuador and Chile. It will connect via road networks to landlocked countries like Bolivia and Brazil's western agricultural states, becoming a transshipment center for trade between South America, China, and East Asia. Colombia is a major military power in Latin America, ranked 11th in the world in terms of military strength. Although Colombia has not yet joined the Belt and Road Initiative, the Chinese Communist Party has strategically targeted this country, increasing investment and trade to meet Colombia's needs. Due to China's efforts, in 2021, China surpassed the United States to become Colombia's largest source of imports for the first time. To date, China has invested approximately $1.5 billion in Colombia, mainly in the oil and telecommunication sectors. According to Chinese customs statistics, the bilateral trade in goods between China and Colombia amounted to $22.6 billion in 2022. On October 25, 2023, President Xi Jinping held a grand ceremony at the Great Hall of the People to warmly welcome the Colombian president, Gustavo Petro Urrego. The CCP is actively and strategically pursuing its ambitions to dominate South America and reduce the United States' influence in the region. This move has raised significant concern and awareness in the United States.